In this video, I show you how I magnetize my miniatures. Before we get into today's video, I just want to share what the GGGG is for this month. Every month, Bob the Beholder picks one of my Patreon supporters to receive a gratitude gift. And for this month of April 2021, the gratitude gift is a $140 pledge level of Street Fighter the Miniatures board game. And if you want to see that video, go ahead and go here. Also, there is a $100 all-in pledge for the Talisman Saber Kickstarter campaign that's going on right now. And if you want to see that video, go ahead and click here. But thanks so much to all of my Patreon supporters. You make this channel what it is, and I'm so grateful to all of you for supporting me. For a long time, I used to transport my miniatures using this foam bag with these foam trays. And for really chunky miniatures like Space Marines and things like that, this actually is pretty fast and didn't require magnetizing or anything like that. And so this works really well. But I've realized lately that Games Workshop miniatures in particular have become really spindly. So for example, I have Curse City here and I'm working on painting them up, but miniature figures like this, or like the skeletons even, have all of these sharp bits and spikes everywhere, and it makes it more difficult to actually fit into the foam tray, or they get caught or stuck into the foam. So instead, I've decided to go to a magnetized base transportation system, and that way they're not touching anything at all, and I can transport them more easily. Now, I have magnetized miniatures in the past, and for many people, all they do is just use some glue and put the magnet right into the base. And I've done that here with these models. And initially, I stuck on these 6mm magnets, and they are way too strong. They stick so strong onto metal that I'm afraid pulling it off, I might break the piece, especially with models with really thin bits connecting them to their base. Or even worse is during gameplay, the magnets are so strong that they actually affect other pieces while I'm moving them across the board. And they might even connect like this when you pull them off. So this actually is too strong of a magnet and is not helpful for these models. Also, the other issue is that many of these are either 2mm or 3mm thick, and those don't really fit into most bases where the magnet is going to be flush. Now, it doesn't have to be flush with the bottom of the base in order to work. So for example, with these, they still stick plenty strong even though they're not flush with the base. But I wanted to go to a smaller magnet, and with smaller magnets, if it's not flush with the base, it doesn't stick quite as well. So a lot of people actually do this method where they take a little bit of green stuff or putty and roll it up into a ball, stick it at the bottom, and then push in the magnet. And here I'm using a 3mm diameter by 2mm thick magnet, which I think is a good size. And you just push it flat up against your tabletop or something like that, and it ensures that your magnet is flush with the base. And so that does work really well. But I did have a couple of my magnets pull out after the green stuff dried, and I used super glue to stick it back in there. But I wanted something that had more of a base that I didn't need to use green stuff in order for it to stick onto the bottom of these bases. And in particular with Games Workshop models, their bases have a bunch of stuff at the bottom of their bases, so it isn't just completely flat. So for example, this 32mm base, at least for Curse City, has this little peg that you use to insert these models onto the base. So I couldn't just create something that fit the entire diameter. For the slotted 25mm bases, you can see that that slot prevents you from really putting in a whole diameter, a circle in there. So using my 3D printer and using a Microsoft 3D Builder, I created these half moon or half crescent 3D printed pieces that slot into the base. And the advantage of this is twofold. One is, just like the method in using putty, this ensures that your magnet is actually flush with the bottom of the base. And the 25mm base is shorter than your 32 and taller bases. And so I created two different versions where one is for your 25mm slotted base, but you can use this for any 25mm base, even if it's slotted or not. And then I created this size for your 32 and above millimeter bases. And one of the annoying things about, at least again with Games Workshop bases, is that there's a little dimple right in the center of the base where that's the optimal spot to put the magnet. So with this file, I created a little divot so that it will fit over that dimple without raising this piece above the bottom of the base. So this file is going to work really well. And then again, I came out with another version of that has two, where you can insert two magnets for some of your larger bases like this one. I don't think the smaller 32mm bases require two magnets. In fact, I think one is perfectly fine. But with some of these larger models, I just like having two, just to ensure that they're not moving around in the case. So that works out really well. And then with these 40mm bases, you can just use one of these divots and just use super glue and stick it in there. And that worked fine, and it ensures that it's flush here as well. So this doesn't have a 3D printed insert going into the 40mm bases. So all of these stick really well, and this tray actually is from Walmart, is only $5. It's a cake tray, and the reason why I like this is it comes with this top, which is actually raised above, and for all of these models it allows them to be protected even though they're taller than whatever height this is. So this works out really well. It's super cheap, and even with these tiny 3x2mm magnets, these stick plenty fine. The strength of them is really strong. And then with some of these taller models like this guy, you can stick them to the side of the cake pan because it's a little bit too tall even with the raised cover. So this method is a cheap and good option for me to be able to transport my miniatures without them bumping into each other or getting paint rubbed off. So this is a great way to transport your miniatures and protect them. So like I said before, I did create a little bit of a divot right there, and that goes towards the bottom. And then this is actually the top. And then on the 25mm one, this is only one side. So what you want to do is you want to grab your 3x2s, and I use a nail set. This is used to countersink in your nails. Really cheap, you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that. You can order them online as well. Just make sure that they're steel so that you can grab the magnets. You can use anything, really. This just helps grab one of the magnets like this and then hold it in place while you stick it into the hole. And then usually I have to use a hammer just to tap it in like this so that it is flush. And there you go. It's a lot easier to glue this on without the miniature on there. So do it beforehand. You can glue it on there after the miniature is already on there, but I just find it easier to do it this way. And then I just stick a clothespin on there. You don't have to do this, but then about 10 minutes you can pull that off. Links to everything that I mentioned below. I have an Amazon affiliate link for the 3x2mm magnets. Have links to all of my Thingiverse files, so you can grab these and print these out for free. Hopefully you're being able to paint through your Cursed City miniatures like I am. Sorry, I'm not going to be providing a painting tutorial for that because I'm just trying to blitz through and get all of these painted up in about a week. And if this video was helpful for you, please hit that like button and subscribe as well. And make sure to go to my Patreon page to get in on the GGGG. Happy hobbying, happy gaming. We'll see you next time.